Welcome back, dear adventurers, to another video. This is a part 1 of a 2-part series at Silver Dollar City. Today, the American Beast and the Filipino Queen are going on a cave tour. Interesting fact, this cave is actually what started Silver Dollar City many years ago. Before there was rides, amusements, and a fun time to have, individuals would go deep down into the dark abyss to explore Mother Nature. Remember to like and subscribe down below, and always leave a comment. Important marble cave is St. Kitts of the Ozarks blind cave salamander and gray bats. Both are endangered species. Make sure if you mess with them, you're going to jail. Now we're entering into the cave itself. What you see before you is the original entrance to the cave, where they would use a long ladder to get up and down. And when they would slide down the pile of debris down to the bottom, where they receive 2 candles.
On the count of 3, just to get the Marble Caves Day started on the right note.
Are you jumping
On
here?
3. 1, 2, 3.
Howdy!
Welcome to Marble, guys. Come on down. Watch.
Now after sliding down that debris pile on a leather sack, they received those 2 candles and they'd light them. As the first one went out, they knew that was time to turn around and find their way back to the entrance. Here's another interesting point. This first cathedral that you see here can fit the Statue of Liberty. Mind you, she has to be tilted at an angle, but her torch from the bottom to the top, that torch would barely stick outside that entrance. This cavern here, this cathedral, at one point held 5 hot air balloons. They quickly had to get them in the air and then turn them off because the temperature inside got quite toasty.
Yes. There's no fruit in here for them. I mean, every once in a while we'll see like a little lightning bug or something flying around in here. But no. Yeah. They eat like twice their body weight every night.
How far will they have to, how far is their feeding radius?
Oh, their feeding radius is about, 100 miles, honestly. Yeah, we don't chip our bats, but the bats down in like Merrimack and a lot of the other caves are chipped. And we've discovered bats in this cave that have come from caves a full like 3 states away. Yeah, they get around, they move.
Do they return to this cave daily?
Most of them do, yeah. Either that or they go find their way into a gift shop. And we go rescue them.
And as you just heard, the tour guide was just talking about the bats in this cave. There's many species of bats, and there is a room called the Mammoth Room, which is on the other side, opposite of the way we're going now, that where all the bats now like to hide and hibernate. They have 4 types of bats. They have the gray bat, the tri-bat, and 2 other species that I don't quite recall at this time. Now, this is an interesting story coming up. Bits and pieces you'll get, but I'll inform you of the parts you miss.
You guys my last 2 still? No behind you? Perfect. All right, well, welcome to the shoe room, everybody. Named the shoe room because if you look above your heads, there's a size 3,000 footprint with the bust, the toes, the artifact, the heel. Marion and Genevieve Lynch named that Cleopatra's footprint, but we just call it shoes. This room does hold quite a bit of significance for us. Just goes way back in the early 1800s, long before William Lynch, our first owner, had ever purchased the cave. Well, I've never even heard of it. Here's a shoe. We entered into the next chapter of our history. We got our very first documented explorers. Now, as I said, we don't know who exactly the first person for sure was to come down in here. The bottom of this hole was just filled up with a massive 50-foot pile of back guano. Rocks were sinking in, never made a sound. Secondly, his mind wasn't playing tricks on him. It is something that you can notice to this day. There is a bit of a temperature change. It does get a little warmer as you use the beagle room going down to this part of the cave. Normally it's about 45 degree temperature change. That actually has nothing.
Now, as the tour guide was just saying, yes, the first adventurers, or first documented adventurers, did go into this cave prior to the original owners of it. Now, these individuals went to this cave and they got to a point where that room that we were just in was warmer in temperature, and there was a giant abyss over where they could not see very far, almost like it was a forever cave. The Native Americans around the area actually thought it was the pit to hell. So this adventurer goes in and he throws a rock over the edge, and he heard nothing. No sound, no tuk-tuk-tuk as it bounced off the rocks. Nothing. Concerned he was, and with the temperature being increased as it was also, he turned around and got out of there. Now I don't recall if it was those adventurers or somebody else, but they found out that that room was full of bat guano. And bat guano is a very precious commodity that you can use for a lot of different things. So, what did they do? They got it in some barrels and started hauling it out of there for sale, for fertilizer and other such things of that nature. Back there. Way back in the day. That's where the river is, a stream, like he was talking about. Now this here is the smallest point in the cave where you have to crouch down. It's the tightest point where you have to make sure you don't hit your head real hard. There's a second point as you leave the cave, but that one you can be standing up and knock your head. This one you gotta crouch. So all the way we're crouching here, making our way through to the next beautiful point, as you will find out soon. This was quite fun for Mercy and I. A little adventure. This is my first time ever being in this cave, and I lived in this area quite a long while. I didn't know it existed. Been to Silver Dollar City multiple different times, and I learned a lot. I highly recommend it if you end up going to Silver Dollar City, or if you come to America and can go to Silver Dollar City in Branson, Missouri. It'd be quite the experience.
Alright, well, as we approach the waterfall down here, guys, please do watch your step. These stairs will get just a little slip.
That's right, guys, you heard a waterfall. The waterfall room is actually the lowest room on the tour. It is 505 feet below the surface. Now, the source of the water comes from the underground stream named the Lost River. This room can flood to the ceiling during times of rain. Now, if you ask me, I could do without the flashy lights on the waterfall, because its beauty alone is enough. But I'll let you be the judge. To each their own, I say. To each their own. Now, this river coming up is called the Mysterious Pool Room, due to being located right next to the Mysterious River Passage, which you can see the sign for it on that wall there. The Mysterious River Passage is a small water-filled passage that eventually opens up into the second largest room in the cave. That room is called the T Room because it's shaped, you guessed it, like the letter T. The cave extends even beyond the T Room, but the passage becomes much smaller and narrower than before. To enter that passage, one must lie on their back and keep their face above water. The passage is extremely tight, with the passage being filled with mud and water, which makes many people call it the sewer pipe. The end of that passage has not been reached, but they do plan to continue investigating to discover where it goes. Now this formation coming up is called Blondie's Throne. It is a flow stone that is located near the end of the cave tour. It is known by that name due to a small boy named Charles Smallwood who was lost in the cave in the late 19th to early 2000th century. He was later found sleeping near this formation, and the first thing they saw was the boy's blonde hair. Well, there is a legend that the cave actually turned the boy's hair blonde. Now this room here is known as the Elf's Chamber. It is the top of the terminal dome pit extending upwards from the mystic pool room. Numerous calcite formations can be seen in this area of the cave. The ceiling is filled with long stalactites and it is covered in helictites. The entrance to the cable train tunnel is located in the Elf's Chamber, making it the last room on the tour of Marvel Cave. That's the entrance. They blasted that open. A Chicago vacuum cleaner salesman, Hugo Hershen, purchased a 99-year lease on the cave in 1950 from the Lynch sisters. After Hugo died in 1955, his wife Mary took over the day-to-day operations. With the aid of her two sons, Jack and Peter, they were able to make many additions to the cave, like a concrete path, stairs to the cave, and a tower from the sinkhole to the debris pile at the entrance. Also, they added a narrow gauge funicular railway in 1957 that pulls trains and their visitors a distance of 218 feet from the depths of the caves to the surface. Before they built it, the Army Corps of Engineers said it could not be done because the turn the Hershen boys had planned, but they built it anyways. And it is still in operation today, that same cable train. We are now at Silver Dollar City, which, as you listened to the tour guide earlier in the cave, talked about how it became Silver Dollar City because way back when you'd buy something and one of the pieces of change you get back was a silver dollar, therefore coining the phrase Silver Dollar City. Yep, see, there we were right there. Harvest Fest, Pumpkin of the City, Silver Dollar City. Well, that's the cave we were just in. The bat on my shoulder. It has four different types of bats in it. Two subspecies of the gray bat, or a bat, he said. The tri-bat, which is the same bat that Fantastic Caverns has. And the gray bat, which is a very endangered species of bat. That's why we must protect our bats, because they eat so many mosquitoes. Conservation is important. Be kind, be gentle, be nice to the animals around you. This is the American Beast and the Filipino Queen saying goodbye, God bless, and we hope to see you for part 2 at our adventure at Silver Dollar City.